Hello, and welcome to another edition of Making Waves. My name is Lisa KONICKI. I'm president of the Ocean Community Chamber of Commerce, and this is our opportunity to take one of our chamber members and introduce you to them so you learn a little bit more about their business, their products, their services, their corporate culture, all that good stuff. And it's my great honor today to spend some time with Jen Brinton. She is with Graysail Brewing of Rhode Island, Outer Light Brewing Company, and South County Distillers. Jen, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're growing enterprise. There's a lot to talk about in our segment. So we're going to just jump right in so that we make sure that each of these entities gets their fair share. And I think we start with Graysail because that was the beginning of it all.
Yes.
Tell us where the idea for Graysail came from, where you're located.
Sure. So Graysail is our brewery in, I'm not even sure where to look here. Graysail is our brewery in Westerly, Rhode Island. We're on Canal Street, 6365 Canal Street. And we started, we're going on 15 years at this point.
Wow.
So so we're in our 14th, I guess. So we opened, our first brew date was actually 11/11/11, which I know has, it was by happenstance, but has great meaning for us every day because it is Veterans Day first and our anniversary date second. And this was something that when I met Alan back in 1998, he had this, we getting to know each other. We both worked in pharmaceuticals, and he told me he was going to he had a business plan. He was going to think about opening a brew pub somewhere in the Northeast. And I was like, yeah, no. I like paychecks and stability and benefits and all that stuff that we had with our nice jobs that we went to every day. And then we moved up here right after we got married a year later. And we had a few kids, and it was our 10th anniversary. I was very involved following the school system and the town and just really loving this community. We felt like we never lived anywhere else. He grew up in central Pennsylvania. I grew up in northern New Jersey. But together we felt like we never ever lived anywhere else so quickly. Westerly is just such a phenomenal community. And it was our 10th anniversary, and I said, you know what? I got to work. Then when I wanted to stay home with the kids, I got to stay home with the kids. Then when I thought, I want to work part-time, I started a wedding planning business. And I was able to do that, tagging with him, with the kids when he came home from work, and I could go to work on evenings, weekends, whenever for wedding planning. And so I said, I've done, he's so supportive. I did everything I could have ever wanted to do and then some. So I said, you wanted to do this brewery, we're not going anywhere. Let's look at opening it here as a hobby brewery. This was a hobby brewery. So we talked about it. Our 10th anniversary we spent in Portland, Maine, where there are a lot of microbreweries.
All over the place.
I gave him a blank notebook, a blank leather-bound notebook, and we bopped around for a weekend, made some notes about thoughts and everything, and then it took off from there. And then several months later, we had the flood of 2010. I also found out in that same month that I was pregnant with my 4th kid and put the brewery plans on hold. And then when I was really crazy, 7 months pregnant, and the middle of July, we said, why are we putting this on hold? Let's not put it on hold. We've had kids before. We know what we're doing there. So let's just keep going. And thank God we had that break because first of all, Mary, our 4th child, is a total blessing. Can't imagine, anything different. And that hold gave us the opportunity, or presented the opportunity, where the building that we're in now, lovingly known in Westerly as the former Napa building, or the former post office, or the former macaroni manufacturing building, came on the market because Jamie Silvestri, God bless him, a phenomenal guy, owned Napa Auto Parts, still owns it, had been, I think, contemplating a move, but the flood really just, he closed up shop. As you know, he helped everybody in his community.
Wonderful person.
Just a phenomenal man. And in that process, he moved to a location that was probably better suited for his business.
Yeah, uptown, a little bigger.
Right, thriving business of Napa Auto Parts down there. And so now he's on Route 1, right by the Aldi, and a great spot, and the building came on the market. And had we not taken that break, we probably would have wound up in a different building. Maybe everything would have been different, you know. And I just think everything happens with Alan and I kind of almost by chance, with some planning, but by chance. And it's kind of whatever happens, I always have the attitude of this is what was meant to be. And that was meant to be. And our neighbor, Chris Campaneri, came over on a Friday night and said, let's buy this building. I was like, it's too small. He said, no, it's great. You said 3,000 square feet, it's 3,000 square, I'll buy it with you. Let's just buy a building. Forget about leasing for this brewery thing that you want to do. And that was Friday night. We looked at it Saturday morning, made an offer on Sunday, and June Silvestri accepted on Monday. And
wow.
It was like, whoo, like done. So happenstance that, you know, we wound up in this building, and it is such a great home for us, and we love it.
And it's gorgeous. It has so much character.
And we're in the 100th year of the chamber, but we're also the 100th anniversary of our building.
That's so
on
neat.
Canal Street. It was built in 1924. 5 years later, the tap house that we now occupy next door, the Cataldo family built that and occupied that. So we are in the 100th year of our building, the 14th year of our business, and it's going strong, and we're just extremely appreciative. And I love that we're doing this community segment here, because for us, that business, and I know we'll talk about the others as well, everything is about community for us.
You're so involved.
So
your husband's involved, you're involved, your staff get involved,
Yep.
whether it's volunteering, whether it's sponsoring, donating product, hosting events and fundraisers and different activities. It's been synonymous with the Gray Sail brand from the day that you opened. It's kind of like, how can we help? What can we do? How can we be your partner? How can we be, I mean, you almost get offended if someone doesn't think to ask you.
I was just going to say, it's kind of my thing now, and I think a lot of people know. People say, oh, we didn't want to ask because, you know, you do so much, or we didn't want to ask because we asked last year. And I tell them, if you don't ask me, that will upset me. That will anger me. Like, why didn't you come to us? Why didn't you want us there? We want to be part of all those things. You know, we don't have a marketing budget. We don't do lots of different marketing campaigns. We don't have billboards. We don't do that kind of stuff. We do the community advertising.
Yeah, your boots on the grounds with your product.
Yes, and we want to be there. We want to be associated with all these great nonprofits, right? We want to be associated with the chamber events. We want to be associated with the Land Trust and the Chorus and Rotary and just everything. I'm gonna miss, you know, things that we do, but
that's because you do about 150 of them.
And it's all about the warm shelter, the Johnny Cake.
It's all about the beer. To you, it's all about the community, and you use the beer as a vehicle to engage with the community. To us, it's this amazing corporate partner that provides something that everybody loves. What is your most popular beer of all the ones that you have?
Captain's Daughter definitely put us on the map. Captain's Daughter was released in 2014. We just celebrated her 10th anniversary. And really, it's the success of Captain's Daughter that has enabled us to grow what we were already doing. So we were doing a lot of the small scale. It enabled us to really grow and do more and more and more in the community because of the success of Captain's Daughter. And it's still growing. We just closed out the month of June. You know, the beer market is kind of up and down lately because of all the other things that are out there, and lots of different factors. And June was not a great weather month along the coast for people going out and, you know, having what they would normally do in June. So we were up against that, and yet Captain's Daughter still comes out ahead, you know, month after month. It's still growing, and it's just been great, and we're so proud of that, and we're so thankful for it. So I never rest on it. We're very thankful every day.
What's I don't really mean literally the secret ingredient, but what do you attribute it to be? I mean, it's almost like a cult-like following for that particular beer.
Yeah, so
what is it about that beer that's the one that everybody?
It's a hoppy beer. People love hoppy, but it's not. But it appeals to people who didn't think that they were into the double IPAs, because it's so aroma based. It's got so much to it, so much body to it, so much flavor, so much, even in the smell. It just really kind of hits all the senses, and it's got a great label. It was funny because it was a label that initially I said I didn't want the name Captain's Daughter. And then it took a little arm twisting, and I was just throw up my hands. I was like, fine, whatever you guys want, you know, it's fine. thank goodness, because they were so right. And I think a lot of it has to do, because for some people it's the liquid, for some people it's the label, for some people it's just trying something new and then getting hooked on it, having no connection to it before. For some it's, you know, oh, we've heard of Gray Ale, what's your most popular, you know, and that'll be the entryway
How
for
they
them.
discover it.
So but it's been great. And, you know, after Captain's Daughter, a few years later, to introduce something that was a little bit lighter in the ABV profile, we introduced Little Sister, you know, and all these beers really have a connection to either family or place. You know, they're either somehow tied to Westerly, they're tied to our family. Captain's Daughter, you know, the face of it, not the body, the face of it, is our daughter Emily. You know, Mary is the face of the Little Sister. Grace, the whole company named came after her, where instead of Grace Ale, it was Gray Ale. Kind of took on, that's why it's Grace Ale, not White Ale.
I never knew that.
Anything, so it's a play on Grace Ale.
That's adorable.
She used to love home brewing with Alan, you know, like crushing things and just kind of hanging out in the kitchen on the stool when he would just homebrew. So it was very befitting for that.
Definitely.
So a lot of that is the evolution kind of through family, and our staff, you know, our staff is great. I mean,
how many employees do you have now?
So 14 full-time.
Yeah.
And then a handful of part-time, whether it's because of seasonal or just their schedules, you know, and that's what it allowed for.
And you mentioned talking about, for example, like the label. You get a lot of people in your company involved in these decisions.
Yes.
Which
I'm
is
the least of the ones
neat.
involved.
I mean, that's the interesting part about being a small brewery, a small family-owned and operated. You're sitting around a dining room table.
It's a blessing and a curse. Everybody's got to say.
Yeah, that's true.
But just like a family, right? It's just like that. So, in fact, today or yesterday, the emails were flying around, and I really usually just watch them go by and let everybody ping back and forth. And I actually commented on this one. But for our anniversary beer this year, and you know, Carrie and Alan might get upset that I'm letting this out of the bag, but oh well. We're doing an Italian Pilsner for our anniversary this year.
Oh, apropos,
celebrating Westerly. We're in the North End.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Our anniversary is right after, you know, the parade, the Columbus Day Parade. That is, you know, part and parcel to the Westerly Pawcatuck community.
Big part of it.
And then and our 100th year of our building in the North End. So it's just kind of
a lot to celebrate this year, for sure.
So the label will tie into our nautical themes and whatnot, but I'm excited about it. So, and it's something that I believe Rich, our head brewer, is pretty excited to
and he's been with you
different.
for a while.
He has. I was trying to think. He joined us. I don't remember what year it was. But I think he's been with us like 9 years now, and came to us from a different brewery. And
what does it take to be a brewer? How does somebody wake up and decide, you know, I want to brew beer?
There are formal training programs.
Okay.
There's the Brewers Guilds of North America, I think it's called, or Brewers Guild of America. There are formal training programs. You know, Rich came to us with brewing experience, and before that it was Josh. Josh Latorno was our first brewer. And it was actually because of him approaching us saying, hey, I've heard that you're going to open a brewery. I want to be a head brewer. You know, hire me.
Yeah, that fell into place.
And we were like, well, we're just doing this as a hobby brewery. We're not really hiring full time. And then we took him to dinner. He and his now wife, was his girlfriend at the time, and we're like, oh, let's change plans, because this is the right person. Again, happenstance.
Yes.
This was the right person.
Yep.
So, and thank
good
goodness
on him
we did
though,
that.
taking the initiative.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny story. So Josh came to us, and this will transition to our distillery too. Josh came to us and said, you know, I work at Mayflower Brewing in Plymouth, Mass. He said, I'm never going to be a head brewer because I work for Ryan Gavush, and Ryan is great, and he's the head brewer, and he's not going anywhere, and he's young, so I'm never going to get an opportunity to be a head brewer. Ryan is now my business partner as South County Distillers. So fast forward several years later, Ryan, you know, came to us and said, hey, you've got this space between the brewery and the tap room with the garages. What if we refit that and made it a distillery? Like, could you guys do the business end and the space, and I'll do all the distilling, and this is what I really want to get into. And so so it's funny how this little
Amazing.
circle of people all kind of crossed paths, and here he was. So
All the connectivity. And you have a female brewer, which is...
we did. I mean, she still works for us. She's
Yes.
transitioned out of that by her choice,
Yep.
Michelle. So, and she came to us with no brewing experience except the love of home brewing.
Okay.
She came to us in 2012. I mean, we were barely open. And she came to us and was going to do marketing and some events and stuff. And she was like, I'll just do whatever. She was a journalist at the time. She graduated URI. She's great because she and I can bounce off proper grammar together. We're both kind of fanatical about that. And so she came to us to do that. And then a few years later, when Josh was leaving to open his own brewery, which he did in 2017, I think, she was like, I want to be the head brewer. So she did this 9-month program at the American Brewers Guild while she was working. And we were her mentor because she already had a place.
You're so great about investing in your team.
And so we paid for her to take that certification, and she did it. And she already knew, she was already assisting in brewing, and she's just got great aptitude. So she was able to take that and run with it, and she did an awesome job. And then she became a mom 2.5 years ago. And her call, she's like, I want to step back from that.
That changes things.
And yeah, change things. And so she's doing marketing support and all kinds of different stuff. But she's still a brewer. I mean,
And was
you don't lose that
one of the only
ability.
female at the time in Rhode Island. It's just...
really the whole region.
You have a great team. They love each other. They are passionate about what they do. They're wonderful to work with. Wes, all your team is just the best.
Yep.
The best. It's a great culture. What do you think makes sense to transition to South County Distillers? Because it's the same property, and that's logistically
that
how
came next,
you
right?
grew.
Yeah.
We'll go by timeline.
Sure.
And then we'll circle back to beer again.
Sure.
All right.
So, South County Distillers is on the same campus as Graysale Brewing. So when you come to the property, you see to the left is this beautiful old Italian colonial house. That is our tap room.
With the gorgeous
With a
murals.
big beer garden and beautiful murals inside that are original to the early 1930s.
Absolutely stunning.
As best we could tell by one artist signature on one of the murals, which are done into the plaster of the walls. And we are trying, and this year we're going to put some resources into restoring some parts of the building that need some love right now. And we've been very focused on the outside and everything, and the beer garden's a great spot. And again, we try to use that for community events, and we host the Cheers for Charity at least once a month, where we open our doors to a local nonprofit to come in.
Nice.
We supply the staff, we supply the space, we supply 2 beer tickets that we pay for, and that way they can charge a donation amount at the door, or in advance. The next one coming up is St. Vincent de Paul Society at the end of July. Wonderful organization, and they killed it last year. So if you're watching, July 24th, that Thursday, July 24th, the St. Vincent de Paul Society will be taking donations, and like I said, they supply food, we supply the beer, and it's just a great, fun community night. So we do those regularly at the tap room, and so when you're looking at the tap room, then before you get to the brewing facility to the right is the distillery, and that is where we got licensed the week before the COVID shutdown.
Oh, I remember.
We had our state inspection, got approved, we were good to go. We were all excited. Ryan started, and then March 13th happened, and we had to shut down. So
I love how that date's just scorched into your memory bank.
Some of those dates are just there. I'm sure it is in your mind too. So we took that 2-week pause, as everybody remembers, right? Which became like a year. And so anyway, it got put on hold. So the distillery ramp up has been slower because, we worked at it for that year, but really couldn't launch a new product. It's very difficult when you can't put a salesperson into a store. Nobody wants to see you. Nobody's buying new products because people are going for their comforts.
Sure.
What they know. The stores are, thinly staffed, and they can't even allow that many customers in at one time. So their revenues are down from that end. So, there's very little that could be done at that time. But I still say to Alan, I can't believe we lived through those years managing businesses and staff and everything. And it just seems very
especially
surreal.
for a brand new right out of the gate business.
Right, especially for the distillery.
So hard for a new business, and you add that to it. But you
Yeah.
played such an important role by switching gears so quickly and doing the hand sanitizer.
So that was
Your
that was
first
our
product.
First product.
Yeah.
Yeah. We sold the first bottle.
And
up
it was
on-
hot. It
on
was
the
a
rafter.
hot commodity.
It was, and that was my job. I said, people ask, like, one of my jobs that year, my primary job was managing the list. I had a list, whether it was handwritten or on Excel or whatever I could do, of all these agencies. We supplied, the police department, the ambulance department, seniors visiting seniors,
Johnny
visiting
Cake.
nurses,
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
Cake. I had a emergency room from New York City calling, trying to find hand sanitizer. Nobody could find it. And the federal government, I know this will sound odd, but in quick thinking, allowed for any distillery in the US, licensed distillery, to make hand sanitizer tax-free to fill the void, which normally is not allowed. They pulled that back as quickly as they could once the market opened up.
Yeah,
Trust
of course.
me, they didn't allow it for too long. But in that opportunity, we were able to make hand sanitizer, and we had to follow the World Health Organization
recipe or whatever
formula.
It is. Yep.
We did the bottles at the time. Printing Plus, Colin over there, donated the printing services to make the label, which
Good
we had
man.
to do on very short timing. And we pumped that out and we gave it away to any agency, any group that needed it. And then we had really two main really great customers. So the town of Westerly, which needed hand sanitizer too, approached us and they couldn't purchase it anywhere else. And we sold it for very little money. I mean, I think it was like $3 for a whole big bottle
Yeah.
that I still have them. They last forever. But by them buying it, and the Ocean House, which was still open and able to purchase, whether they needed it or not, they bought like 1,000 bottles with the understanding that when they bought it, all that money was going right back in to make more hand sanitizer to give away more. So they were part of this process, part of the cog that kind of kept that donation train running. And what a blessing. So again, another great community event. It's not how we envisioned getting our name out there on hand sanitizer bottles, but it was, nevertheless, it was what was
You built a lot of relationships, and people don't forget, or you'd like to think they don't forget who was in their corner during those times.
And regardless, I'll never forget it. It's something that we're very proud that we did.
Big part of your history.
So yeah.
So some of the products at the distillery.
So we make lots of different spirits. So we've got rum, botanical rum. We've got gin, which is my favorite because it's a very different gin. I was never a gin drinker before, but I love this one. Gin and tonics have become my favorite drink. We make agave of several different kinds. We make bourbons, rye.
So what's in the strawberry lemonade that I love? Is that gin?
So that's a whole different, that's a vodka lemonade, right? So that's a vodka lemonade. So we make vodka, but really the biggest seller with our vodkas is our canned cocktails. So, and this year we have a few different types on the market. We have blueberry, we have strawberry, we have peach, we have the regular lemonade. We have a limoncello spritz, which we make with our limoncello, which has been great. There are a few big accounts, which I won't mention because I didn't run it by them, but a few very large accounts that have made our limoncello their house limoncello.
That's great.
Our raspberry vodka their house vodka. So
gotta love that.
We're really, really excited about that. It's just what a vote of confidence. That some of these, again, very large accounts that could go anywhere chose to stick with local or chose to transition to local and went with us. And the limoncello. So the limoncello, we have a spritz now that's really growing very nicely in popularity this summer. So the canned cocktails, the ready to drinks are very popular.
Delicious, easy.
They're gluten free.
Your labeling is just like, I'll have the pink, I'll have the yellow. Once you know the one that you like and you go to the store and you see it, it makes it so easy to just zoom in on them.
Fundraisers and things where we've served to, I get like Jeff, our friend Jeff, who's like, I'll have yellow. Yeah, Beth wants pink.
Fast and easy.
It's just just very easy. But that's been great, and they're gluten free. They're natural fruit. It's not like just fruit syrup or anything like that. It's actually fruit puree. I can never say it correctly.
Puree. We know what you want.
Not the fake sugar. It's all genuine, great ingredients, and those are just, you could tell with the flavor. So they've been doing. Brian does an amazing job.
It's been wonderful to see the trajectory and the momentum of both of these businesses based in Westerly grow. And you've continued to raise your family, you've continued to be involved selflessly on boards of directors like the Chamber of Commerce, your husband's very involved in the Rotary. With all this going on, you still found a way to get involved and to expand your business footprint.
We did.
And now you're the owners of Outer Light. Congratulations.
We are. And I know we're short on time, and I said I was going to talk mostly about Outer Light, and I didn't. But yes, we are partners with, I say we partnered because we do own it, but it's the same company that it was before. We're just on the back end trying to bolster the company, the logistics, and
some of the infrastructure to help a small business.
The viability for the infrastructure. We've launched a new beer, Morning Light, which just, I can't believe it was like the biggest seller over the last month. It was great. A nice, light, easy drinking beer. Our staff there is fantastic. It's a staff of 3 full-time and some part-timers. The part-timers are all Navy, electric boat, just what a great community of part-time staff. They're just amazing. And Kurt runs the tap room. And he, I gotta say publicly, he's the MVP, right? He's got the relationships. There is not a day, maybe we see it, on the behind the scenes, but he exudes a man who just loves his job and more importantly, loves his customer base. He's become such good friends with so many customers and, we will not change the things that are working. And so there's very little to change because so much of it is just working. And he really drives that home with Outer Light. And just, again, he's in charge of all the taproom events. He's doing Tuesday night game nights, which
Some
are
fun
playoff
things.
of like Family Feud and Deal or No Deal, and just really fun things. He does trivia every Wednesday night, and he runs that. He does a free family barbecue once a month.
What?
They did this before, and I will not change a thing because he wants to be we're doubling down on being family friendly and community involved and
dog friendly too, right?
Yep, both breweries are outside. They
have to mention it.
Have to be outside.
So a lot of people like to bring their pups to these outside facilities.
But he, again, just has really, he wanted to do this, and we're there supporting him. And we're really happy. The owner of Outer Light, Tom, who had started it, he approached me almost 3 years ago about buying it.
Wow.
And there were reasons why we couldn't, over the few years and things that had to get straightened out, but I worked with him through that time. So we really knew what we were getting into, and then we made it official in January. And it's been developing nicely. And Carrie, our sales director, she's really the one. Like when somebody says, "Why did you buy it?" I say, "I bought it for Carrie," because she's the one who approached us and said that she really, she thought that this was a good move. And I trust Carrie implicitly on knowing the market. She's phenomenal. And when we bought it, we opened it up to all staff, to make this a fully employee-owned company. So some took advantage of that. Some couldn't, some didn't want to.
Sure.
Some might later. We're not closing the door to it, but it was an opportunity not just to grow the brewing business, but to grow opportunity for staff as well.
That's amazing.
And that was a really big part of it, because as running the chamber, the product is certainly your lifeblood and keeps you going, but being the manager of people, your employees are your biggest asset always.
Yeah.
Unless you have a true behind the keyboard type service that nobody has interface with, which is certainly not the case for us. The brewing.
But they're even more vested now because of their direct involvement.
Many of them are.
It's fantastic.
But we try to take care of everybody, with health benefits and 401ks and all the good stuff that employers should be doing, and we're very proud that we can do. But we will continue to invest in them now at all the companies, at Gray Sale, South County, and Outer Light, and that's the most stressful part for me, is making sure that's all going right, but it's also the most rewarding part of it. So
Well, you make it look easy, and I know it's not. Running one business is a challenge enough. Running three and doing them all so well, and still finding the time to do things like this, to be involved in the community, to be involved in every organization, to be supportive of every charity. It's really so impressive, and I would just like to say thank you, not just on behalf of the Chamber, but on all the nonprofits that benefit from your charity, your professionalism, your passion of your whole family and your team. You're like a real major cog in the wheel of this two-state region in helping all of us achieve our goals. You're just a great person, and it's a wonderful business, and we could talk all day.
I really could. I can't believe
we
that.
just
That was a half hour,
scraped the top on each one of these entities. How can people learn more? What website?
GraySaleBrewing.com and OuterLightBrewing.com.
All right.
And, my phone number is attached to everything. So any questions, I am the one who answers the phone and returns all the calls. So
love that.
Yeah,
you are a woman of many skills. All right, well, sadly, that wraps it up, but hopefully we expose people to a little bit something new for your businesses. Our time has come to an end with our interview with Gray Sale, but we absolutely loved having Jen here. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Making Waves.
Thank you.